What's something you made that was 100% delicious but Gordon Ramsay would slap you for anyway? Ramen with sea salt and extra message. My cooking ability has a wide range and I enjoy cooking most things from scratch like fresh bread, Neapolitan pizza, lasagna. I make my own sushi, fried chicken, Chinese noodle variations. I'm Indian, so curries are at the heart of all my cooking. I'm even my family's personal baker and make the best red velvet any of us have tasted. But my God, I've never been so impressed with anything I ever made until I did ramen with sea salt and extra message. Side note, pretty sure Mr. Ramsay wouldn't mind anyone making anything they like as long as they don't serve it to others and pretend that it's better, different than what it is. I make a cheese sandwich. It's literally just a sandwich with margarine and cheese. Like a grilled cheese, except I'm too depressed to go through the effort of grilling it. So I throw it in the microwave until the cheese is melted and bam, instant snack, nom nom nom. Lazy ass grilled cheese, toast the bread, take 2 slices of cheese, make sandwich, microwave for 20 seconds. Someone mentioned uncooked ramen. Used to break it up into chunks, sprinkle with flavor packet. Knew someone who would make Kraft macaroni, but instead of using the cheese, he would dump a can of mushroom soup into the pasta and stir it all up. Oh man, let me tell you what, any type of ramen that's in the brick form, whatever flavor you want, then, whatever type of potato chips you want. I prefer Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Crush up the chips, crush up your ramen, add hot water and combine the two together and let cook. Cut up beef sticks, cheese sticks, remove noodle and chip combination onto tortillas, add beef and cheese sticks into combination. Enjoy. Congrats. You've tried your first hookup in the Penn County joint. The divorced dad with kids on the weekend meal. Go to Walmart and buy a bag of frozen cheap as fuck burritos, $2.99. Buy large can of cheap enchilada sauce. Play burritos in lasagna pan and cover with sauce. Bake at 350 till done. Equals 1 big lasagna pan of cheap ass enchiladas for dinner and likely at least lunch the next day too. If you are a baller you can sprinkle some cheese on top. I put grilled chicken on a flour tortilla with peanut butter smeared on the tortilla. I came up with it because I was, and still am, trying to lose weight. And the mood swings from the change in diet were so frustrating one day that I said to myself, I'm just gonna take whatever is in the fridge and make it into a lunch, regardless of whether it tastes good or not. I was just looking for sustenance and calories, and it surprisingly tasted good. I've been eating it for lunch for a while now. It's kinda similar to the peanut chicken you'd get at a Chinese restaurant, since most of those recipes have peanut butter in it instead of like actual peanuts. I actually cook a lot, and my food ranges from home-style comfort food to a couple of fancier options. I just can't be bothered with super fancy, but I also like what we refer to as stoner food. The two that immediately come to mind are peanut butter sandwiches with Cheetos inside the sandwich, and taco shells filled with nothing but shredded cheese and nuked for a second to melt the cheese. Somehow we started calling them armadillos. I can't remember why. My own version of the Spanish garlic soup. I first learned it from watching that Chef John video, then each time I cooked I tweaked the recipe to my liking. My family loves garlic, and my family loves that soup, or the version I tweaked for more garlic. After some time I decided to look back at the recipe, and discovered that I now have more than 10 times the amount of garlic from the original recipe. The soup is super garlicky the way we like it, but to a professional chef's palate which is trained to taste the subtle flavors in each dish, it probably would be hell for him. Fried macaroni. When cooking chicken, pork, whatever, boil up some elbows. Drain them fast. You don't want them saggy, but a little firm. Then in a pan bring bacon grease up to temp just starting to smoke. Add the drained noodles and stir, making sure to coat as many as possible. Keep the heat higher and stir often. Salt, pepper, more salt, more pepper. Prepare a gravy of your choosing. Chicken is the best from whatever stock, fake or real, you'd like. Serve when the noodles start getting crunchy. Your decision when either fully hard or lightly crunched. With a mashed potato volcano and a side of fried macaroni, you're going to get your carbs for a week, your cholesterol for a month, and a ton of salt. And it's friggin' delicious. I just microwave tofu, mash it in a bowl, pour a can of spicy chili beans on top, add some garlic salt and I'm done. Takes 5 minutes to make. Vegans make everything so complicated and be over here spending 3 hours making some elaborate dish with ingredients they have to go to 15 different random specialty grocers to hunt down. My Leberks sandwich. I really don't know how to translate Leberks and doubt it's a thing outside of Germany and maybe Austria, but it's basically a delicious piece of meat made mainly from pork which you just roast. I'll roast some bacon too. Toast 2 pieces of bread, sandwich, put cheese on it and then add the Leberks on top so it melts the cheese. Then I put on some salad, tomato, sauces, nearly everything works, BBQ sauce, mayo, ketchup, Maggi etc., and then put the second bread on top. There's thousands of variations you can make of it and to me, nearly every single one I tried was delicious. It's nothing you would serve if you're having guests over for dinner, but damn is it delicious if you are just eating alone or with your friends. I make a cheesy pasta sauce by melting some cheese spread in some water or milk in a pan, then take it off the heat and stir in the cheese. No pre-packaged grated cheese though, that makes the sauce grainy. I use a cheese spread brand called Seriously because it tastes great and melts easily, but Dairyly or Laughing Cow work too, or really any processed cheese product. The way this works is basically to make a cheese sauce you need an emulsifier, and you can do that with room, butter and flour, or any processed cheese will contain various emulsifiers to give them that smooth melty texture. I find this method not only much easier and quicker than a roux, but the sauce is less stodgy as it doesn't contain flour. You can also make it lower calorie than a traditional cheese sauce. The downside is, the processed cheese can lend the sauce a slightly processed taste, but I don't mind that. So I'd make this and all my coworkers thought it looked like something straight from the sewer, but beer cheese, au jus, roast beef, sauerkraut, lettuce, fries. Sounds nasty, but I swear it's one of the best things I made there. Or it could be my famous teriyaki sauce that I make with 2 different sodas, or my greedy whipped cream that tastes like caramel apples unless you take too much. Then it tastes like straight up soy sauce. I mixed my cheesy macaroni and ham with some Mexican rice and beans, added in chopped chorizo sausages that had been fried with onions and chilies, mixed with some Indian spices and put the whole thing into the oven with an added layer of cheese on top to get that melted cheese look on the top. It tastes absolutely awesome, but not sure if Gordon would slap me or shoot me. It's perfect comfort food though. I love hardtack. It's a bland survival food similar to a cracker but extremely hard. You could chip a tooth by trying to eat it like a normal cookie. Back then campers, soldiers and other survivalists would soak it in water for a good while before eating them. The thing is, I love eating them as is, and play around with the bite in my mouth until it's saggy enough to properly chew. I often bake a lot and my mom eats them too because she too likes to chew on them for a long while. Odd. Sounds kinda weird now that I think about it, and probably no one else would want to try it. I used to cram everything into a sandwich and stick it in my George Foreman ... I mean everything. If it wasn't dripped down my arms while I ate it, it wasn't stacked enough. One of my favorite go-tos was to spread smashed avocado on the inside bread surfaces, layer the bottom half with chorizo, crisscrossed with some maple fried bacon, and topped with 2 poached eggs and some red Leicester cheese. Once it was grilling, I'd also lather the outsides of the bread with some butter, which I'd lightly singe with the grill butt gave it more durability. Always wanted to try an Asian spin on this, where I'd take some cooked egg noodles and form those into the bread and fill with other Asian-style food items. Ramsay would have a heart attack watching me cook that. My wife and her best friend are both potheads, and they have entire lists of things that make me twitch to just contemplate. The worst part about it is, you don't have to be stoned to enjoy their concoctions, although it does help. For instance, dark chocolate brownies with raspberry sorbet ... and crushed Lay's potato chips over the top, pumpkin curry soup with apple cider donuts to dip in it, hot popcorn with milk duds mixed into the bowl. Basically, almost anything you can come up with that's a riff on sweet/salty/crunchy, they've probably tried and liked. A Bobby Flay dish I love was charcoal chicken. The reason I'd say Ramsay would slap me is because it's too juicy and has a more tangy taste, which isn't what you usually expect from chicken, so you'd assume the chicken you used to make it was bad, but it's actually supposed to taste that way. Also, many people disagree with me on this, but when food sits in the fridge overnight, usually if it has hamburger in it, and you warm it up in the microwave, it tastes a lot better. I actually have worked as a line cook in various restaurants, currently manage a Taco Bell, but I definitely would not serve Gordon Ramsay the food I cook at home. 2 weeks ago my home-cooked meal was rotini pasta with tomato sauce, aka canned diced tomatoes seasoned with sriracha. Last week it was canned chicken sauteed with a little salt and pepper in olive oil, then mixed with canned tomatoes, this the kind with onion and celery, and served over rice. Tonight it was canned cream of chicken soup, green beans and egg noodles. I can certainly always throw a meal together, but I'm in a kitchen all day, plus I live alone. I don't have the mental energy to put into cooking a fancy meal for just myself. I brown crumbled ground beef, then mix it with ketchup and mustard, to taste. Then spread mayo on a toasted bun and slap the meat on it. I'm not a fan of sloppy joes, but this sandwich is great and I can see Ramsay hating on it. Also, he supposedly said pineapple on pizza is gross, but it's one of my go-to toppings, along with sausage or ham. I'll sometimes chop bread into cubes, microwave it with a disgusting amount of butter, and then dribble honey or cinnamon sugar on it and eat it with a fork. I call it poor man's monkey bread. It is one of my favorite comfort foods, and I am ashamed. If you don't want to heat up the kitchen making enchiladas, layer the ingredients for one serving in a bowl and then steam it in your preheated rice or vegetable steamer about 15 minutes or until cheese is melted. Just keep an eye on it or it will turn to soup. It's not as good as real enchiladas, but it will do. It's way better than anything from Taco Bell. Anyway, you can also layer ingredients in a slow cooker. Spray the crock with oil first. My mom makes this thing we call bread, and with it, my sisters call it gray meat, which an accurate description, but I maintain it's not the right name because that sounds gross. It's ground beef, canned cream of mushroom soup, and American cheese. Cook the beef, drain, then add the soup and the cheese, I think some milk, too, and serve over white bread. It sounds disgusting, but I love it. It's one of the few things I'd eat as a kid, and I didn't like ground meat of any kind except in that form. As far as I can tell, it's derived from a WWI meal that is called, even more disgustingly, shed on a shingle, which was made with dried beef. My wife and I really like the classic French cook Madame sandwiches, a ham and Swiss sandwich, covered in a rich bechamel sauce, and topped with a fried egg with a nice, runny yolk. But the restaurant near us that made them changed formats, and doesn't sell them anymore. One day, in desperation, I toasted a few slices of Pepperidge Farm thin bread, Made a couple of sandwiches using buttered ham, the absurdly thin stuff that comes in pouches, and white American cheese. I topped them with microwaved castle cheese, and dropped the fried egg on top of each one. They looked like a culinary nightmare, and were like 80% processed crap. But those were some good sandwiches. We still make them sometimes. This may be disgusting to some, but last night, I took leftover potatoes, mashed them, sprinkle of garlic and onion powder, not too much, sprayed a few sprays of some spray butter, some sausage, like the ones you have for breakfast, and tore those into little bits. Then I put cheese on top and put it in the microwave for like a minute, since everything was already cooked. Then I took it out, and put a drizzle of Hidden Valley Ranch on top. But then I decided to get weird and put crushed up Doritos on top, and it was amazing. Oh, that's easy. Every time I decide to reheat or microwave something from my fridge when I don't remember what I originally made, defrosted it, or cook with vegetables that are not saleable if they're in a supermarket, let's just say, I don't fuck with raw meat. That's my limit, but I do play very hard and fast with Best By dates. He doesn't get mad at people making food they like. He gets mad if you make unsafe food, like the food I feed myself, because I'm too cheap to throw it out. But I think the chicken soup I made with 2 carrots turning black, an extremely soft celery, and 2 week-old rotisserie chicken bones probably counts. Didn't get sick from that, somehow. I think all the shit talk about well-done steaks is just snobbing. There's many verifiable science-related reasons to why it's not just snobbery, and why a lot of the common reasons medium-rare steak is gross are bullshit, but okay, sure, it's theoretically possible to cook a well-done steak and not have it be burnt shoe leather, but even in the best of situations you're still rendering out tons of intramuscular fat, you know. The reason why prime-grade steaks are more expensive than choice, and basically removing the reason you bought a nice cut to begin with. Fat rendering with heat and prolonged exposure to high temperature is just the way the physics of meat works, to say nothing of the fact that for the average adult, there's virtually no health risk associated with eating a medium-rare steak, and the blood is not blood, but a protein-rich liquid called myoglobin, aka why red meat is red in the first place. I'm about to change some of all's lives. Yeah, all know those fruit smiles you can get at Walmart, get you a pack of the sour ones. Regular work too, but sour is better because of the filling, and some great value cookies and cream ice cream. When you get home, do 1 scoop of ice cream, 1 pack of fruit smiles, another scoop of ice cream, and another pack of fruit smiles. You're welcome. I feel like we're in a similar boat, tbh. I just also, well, when I was young, I was Grandpa's little girl, and Grandpa liked well-done steaks, so I of course ate mine well done, but I hated steak. It was so tough and dry and chewy and flavorless, I didn't understand how. But when we had steak, that's how I had mine. Many years later, after Grandpa passed, I was out with Grandma getting food, and we were getting steaks. She got hers medium rare, and I ordered mine the same way without thinking. Suddenly, it was all pop, pizzazz, flavor, juicy delicious meat. Was this what steak was supposed to be all along? I feel like there's a non-zero portion of people who think myoglobin is blood, and who can't let science penetrate their brain to realize this isn't bad for me in any way, shape, or form. It's just natural meat juice, and I don't want anyone to suffer dry shoe leather when delicious steaks are just a few degrees of doneness in the other direction. This is made 100 times worse because I did actually complete culinary school, but here goes. Yeah, all will love this. I made the most ghetto chicken fajitas, and they're delicious. Cube up some boneless chicken breast, get some color on them with a hot pan and olive oil. Thin slice some yellow onion, toss them in with the chicken, salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder to season. Now dump a half to a full bottle of paste picante sauce, stir, remove from heat, cover for 15–20 minutes. Dump it on a tortilla.